Hello, everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast is part of a ZtormLabostix article. This audio podcast is part of a Seed, Solar, and Storm. Seed, Solar, Storm. This audio podcast as part of a Stax'n'um edition, and this audio podcast as part of a ZtormLabostix production. In this audio podcast, a look at we look at sort of works from in around 2000 in around 2006 originally, um, in around 2006 originally, and where peer reviewed and published works have been have been have been have been as what had been ascertained in around more recent years. However, as part of this ZtormLabostix article edition, a look at some of the underpinning bases in around hemolytic uremic syndrome as a sort of a look at this particular hematological condition again. So to begin with, a bit of introduction. So what is one of the questions is what is hemolytic uremic syndrome, or HUS? So hemolytic uremic syndrome is an acquired condition affecting mainly infants, neonates, infants, and children, pediatrics, young people, and children. And the symptomology, the main symptomologies, the main symptomology are in around three main aspects, where there is a thrombocytopenia. So there's issues in around the platelets. There's then secondly there is a thrombotic microangiopathic hemolytic anemia. So owing to the hematological nature of the condition, the HUS, hemolytic uremic syndrome, falls under hematological conditions, specifically in around hemolytic anemias. And then thirdly, there's symptomologies in around renal pathophysiology, where infants and children and young people can have symptoms in around acute renal failure. The condition HUS in literature and amongst the evidence has been referred to as a condition in which there is a triad of clinical syndromes, i.e., again, where there are those particular syndromes where there's hematological anomaly is concerned. Again, thrombocytopenia, thrombotic or microangiopathic hemolytic anemia, and acute renal failure. At the same time, there is general renal, and there is renal involvement. Renal involvement is sort of one of the main defining features. So the main defining features or basis of hemolytic uremic syndrome. And there is evidence of coagulopathy. So there's coagulopathy and intravascular coagulation in the kidney. So there are issues apart from general hematological issues, there is evidence in around sort of the blood pathophysiology and coagulation in around the renal pathophysiology. So and when this again is referred to as intravascular coagulation in the kidney. Then there is angiopathy, where there is a general marked fragmentation of red blood cells. The disorder or condition is associated with the activation of neutrophils, so specific specific hematological cells. And then there's typical HUS. Typical HUS is where there is secondary infection due to gastrointestinal abnormalities, and where there's gastrointestinal abnormalities. This is aligned with virocytotoxin producing E. coli, or which in the literature has been referred to as VTEC, and less often is where there is Shigella as an infection. That draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast is part of a ZtormLabostix article. This audio podcast is part of a Siege Solar Storm. This audio podcast is part of a Stax'n'um edition, and this audio podcast as part of a ZtormLabostix production.